I'm going to try to make points about transmissibility. Nobody is brave enough to try, so I'm going to try. A perspective and a delivery system is damn near the same thing, if not, right? It's like a payload. There's nobody runs the whole world. A perspective is, I don't know what you want to say, on high. Like, it is something that is partially in and partially waiting for it. Like, there's parts to a perspective that you can own without shutting down the discussion, right? There is see, people are owning the trauma and they're shutting down the discussion, but they're not doing any legwork to end the cause of that, of whatever trauma that is, and then they get incorporated into through polarization and galvanization. Because there's another race of humanoid or something, I think they would like to take stock of they could see reductive reasoning. You could see, and so could we could see and measure cortisol. But what, you know what I mean? Like, if we're not born to be warriors, right? And I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about with like mental and spiritual, like prowess, or, it's like we have to take one of these two avenues, right? We have to go to do emotional legwork so we can get spiritual prowess, and women have to do an intellectual legwork so they can divinity. Basically, it's the same thing, divinity, right? Spiritual prowess, right? We might have negated it to come here and to be in our ego, to live in our feelings, because we're only partially attached. Like, it's just to see that we have a 10% negation or a 10% fondness of the corporeal form, right? And maybe we don't even know. I mean, we need to find out there's something about us that's bigger than mistakes, and we can work to an accord. It is some type of work. I'm not gonna, as cheesy as this sounds, like it's definitely, I can't argue that it's not about some kind of work, right? And what that is, right? We are used by the creator. I'm not your creator, but the creator can inhabit and work with me, right? And so I'm just like, why does the creator use people and then stop using them? Like, they become irrelevant. Basically, you have to start looking at things in terms of their relevancy to an issue at hand or something like that. And so then the creator does stay with us, because we're using things that, like your judgment and stuff, that, or discernment, that he would tell you to do, right? Or she, right, would tell you, right? Depends on if you're a male or a female. It doesn't really do me any good to be like, oh, was God a woman or anything, because I'm not a woman, so it wouldn't be able to guide me. The Tamoankan, the ancestral spirit, would not be able to guide me into accordance, or with the Urzuli, right? The Urzuli archetype, right? There's 4 different types, whatever. Okay, so back to transmission. Did I make the point yet? Or was I getting close to describing emptiness and form? Because maybe I've done it already. If I go on too long, then I would show and prove I don't know what I'm talking about. But so when you sleep, you heal, right? But when you're asleep, to heal, you have to make yourself vulnerable. You have to go horizontal. You have to go horizontal. You are vulnerable when you're asleep, right? A psychopathy, not a psychopathy, a pathology, right? 2 sides of a coin, right? you have a pathology and you have to get a pathology because there's one that you embrace, and so therefore you need to understand one pathology as well that is the other side of the coin, right? And A likes, right? There's no good, no bad, no right, no wrong. It's the same thing. You'll be talking about the same thing, you know, like hot or cold, or like comfort, pain, and you're still talking about between pain and comfort, you would still be talking about like the same thing, you know. What is that, anyways? I mean, that's how is it the same? You can argue that the quality of the feeling or emotion experienced is less if you're in pain, but maybe it's more. Maybe it's the quality is more if you're in pain sometimes. And it's not, you know, if you're wallowing all the time in something, feeling sorry for yourself, that'll fuck you up. So maybe that's less. Like maybe that's less. Maybe it's more or less. So what is a transmitter, right? It depends what you're trying to receive from the transmission, right? If you just want light to fill up a room, right, then a light bulb is a transmitter. It you know what I'm talking about is Phil Valentine, and I don't care how weird you think he is. If you throw away this information, you know, I mean, I remember they painted them to be so weird back in the day when they were making fun of slapping, an unexpected slap never hurts and some shit. What was that? A Living Color or something. They were making fun of that conscious community because they were, you know, like there's always some weirdos in the conscious community, and I guess like most of them turn out to be. You can't trust. The thing is, you can't believe anybody. You can trust some information. You can trust some people sometimes. But you can't believe anybody though. Yeah. Even if they have good information. It's just you should know if their effort that they put in is consistent with the work you're trying to do, then it's recognition. You know what I'm saying? It's recognition. That's why respect is overrated. Because most of the time you hear people going on about respect, they're treating it like something they don't have it in. Demanding or being demanding. They found a different way to demand it. So that they don't have to say that they're demanding it. I'll just be nice. You know, now bosses aren't afraid of confrontation. They can just send little teeny boppers that never had a job before, that have never experienced, that don't interact with that broad of an array of different characters than the person who comes through the door and rebellious or whatever, and doesn't want to listen to a policy or terms of policy or whatever. Shit, go talk to them. What do you think your boss is a nice guy? Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not enough to where the kids' parents could be like, oh, I gotta go talk to them at that point in time. Your kid's an adult if they're working, even if they're 16. Because, well, they already are kind of adult. You know what I mean? It just seems like if you're older, you should know a little better, because when you talk to them, like, they're so naive. There's some maybe nescience, you know, like, I wouldn't say innocent and everything, because when they get around each other and shit, they're not innocent, but their nescience is a lot, okay? And you could tell that they are not familiar with the wolves in the throne room. You could tell they're not familiar with how to convert people's creative energy into chaos and chaos magic, and that one reason why chaos magic falls out of favor or popularity quicker, or like people that are forgotten, you forget their names and shit, even though you just remember their face, what they look like, and forget their name. There's a lot of those. How do they can't even be here unless, like, they're not even physically able to manifest unless they're getting energy from somewhere else. And so a lot of these cases where emotion is either it's not good or bad, they just want more. Like, then like you're getting close to the I don't know, you could say that they're feline reptilian, or you could say they're Anunnaki, or you could say they're tall white aliens or something at this point. Because if you put yourself somewhere, it's probably not bad for you. It's when we get dragged, because we don't have foresight. It's like for lack of foresight, we get dragged into certain things, or people that spend people together, like cocooning. You don't have foresight, you get pulled into shit for lack of wisdom and lack of foresight. If you can put yourself in any situation, it's probably not bad. It's probably not bad. And people do go through such things as taking an ass kicking or doing time in jail because of something that was purposeful, then to meant something to them too. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that that's what everybody, you know what I'm saying? The jail's probably not going to be full of those kind of people today. That's what I'm saying. Probably because drugs and the opioid epidemic. You can't have an epidemic if it highlights the epidemic. They can't have it. So that's why you get all these fake stories and these distractions and shit. And all these, they have to make a story if it isn't a story, just to get the chaos. It looks like there's something in my eye. I guess that's just not gonna stop, dude. That's why I said that Dershowitz must be killed. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like he should be killed more than Fauci or somebody like that. But you notice I can't say that, right? You know, I can never tell you that part, right? The wheels would get in motion somehow. It's okay to say kill Alan Dershowitz. There's not going to be no blowback. But if I say that about Fauci, man, knock, 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 knock. It'd be like Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood and shit. I'm Eddie Murphy and that shit. Don't play around with them Jews. Don't fuck with them Jews. You know what I mean? I don't advise it. I was only talking about the baby dick suckers. They're not real Jews. It's not even really fit to call anybody a Jew. You know what I'm saying? If you're an Israelite, you're just observing the Passover that the Israelites observe, right? And he said you could be any race or whatever, like, you know. Because they're in a precarious position where they can't exclude anybody from that which is so likened to breathing, you know what I mean? That would make them irrelevant, you know? That's like, you know, Elohim, Abraham, like even some of the old religions that we don't know about, like they have words that sounds like breathing. You know, it's like or omnio, re, kio, amen, and ome and amen. That's energy rising in the east and setting in the west. And it's weird how my family has babies around that got named through the collective conscious. There's Ameneptop. Is that how you say it? Ameneptop. And Ometeotl. Ometeotl. I did not tell them to didn't name them people like that. And if I told them that Ame and Ome is the energy rising in the east and setting in the west, they tell me I'm fucking loony. I need meds. I need to get on my meds. That's why I don't listen to no females. That's why I don't listen to no women. Because sometimes they just seem like they be smacked out. And they go crazy because they have to talk baby talk and become like a baby and be the baby's food. And they can relate to the baby when they speak baby talk too. And then you have to go and get them out of that when the baby's grown up because they stay in baby talk land. Like the father has to, that's where the reason that the father has to be there is to get the mother out of crazy town. I mean, a lot of fathers practice fatherhood from kind of a distance. It depends on what society that you live in. It depends on the society. I mean, if all these white knights are telling you that you got to be monogamous and everything, or they're gonna, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna become her confidant, a priest or somebody, she's gonna have a fag hag, or she's gonna get one of those gay priests, and then they're gonna discuss other men. They're gonna get together and discuss other men. You know what I mean? Like, how do they cut somebody out of the picture if you're a provider? You know what I'm saying? Especially they're playing a dangerous game, because there's not that many upwardly mobile people that are gonna set that down, are gonna put that down so that they could be crossed off by a cuck white knighter, a good boy. Nobody appreciates them, and then that kind of gets onto the pretty boys like a little bit. Like, there's pretty boys, that's not their fault, you know what I mean? And women don't appreciate them that much. It's not their fault, you know what I mean? They might have big dicks. Well, you'll slay you. It's a little bit they don't appreciate that. It's made ready for slime time if you want to have a relationship with those. You know what I mean? You got your balling and everything. You can handle them and a few more. Maybe you can maybe they're not enough of women, and you need to wreck 2 or 3 buddies in that night, right? And they can't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? Because because they're the ones that lay down the law. They can't have a problem with that. We just enforced it, right? But that's why they maybe don't appreciate the pretty boys. You know what I mean? Because how are you going to enforce, you know, you're going to enforce this shit? Hey, just don't listen. Like, basically, you just got to go off on your own sometime if you want to get something to, if you want to contribute some value to a futuristic platform or something like that. You want to be relevant or something like that. You just have to just not tune them out. Then they'll be watching movies where the midget is the hero and kills all the villains and has all the sex with all the women. And he's a midget, you know what I mean? Like in the Philippines, who is that? Somebody does this show where he reviews movies, ancient or old or arcane 80s movies or something. But he didn't want to review my movie, so I can't remember what his name is right now. Because I told him they should look at this or that movie or something. And I was trying to hype him up on NFTs and shit. So he got sketched out or something because, you know, people, you know how it is when you talk about shit that people are new about and shit. There's a lot of skepticism, even in the Bible. Shit, it was like Saint Paul or somebody was like big, in your face, kind of skeptic, like as far as Jesus. And so Jesus was like, oh, I'll build my church on you. You're the rock. I'll build my church on you. The biggest skeptic. See, and if you want to tell me that Jesus didn't exist or did exist like that, that is not relevant to this shit. That is not relevant to this shit right now. Whether or not I quote scriptures a little bit less or a little bit more than the Antichrist, it's just a compliment. Like, it's a compliment, because if you're not the Antichrist, then you're gonna walk around with a rock on your back, like a big book, like a big heavy book. You don't study, you don't look into shit, you just take the word of authority without question. To be a good boy. That supposedly wants people to like them. Supposedly motivated by having friends. You know what I mean? You can have a lot of people around you. This is no example of anybody that I know of or I've ever heard of that has a lot of people around them and never get a sincere hug or anything, but some, I don't know, babies bouncing around on his thigh and want to study little blonde leg hairs and some shit like that. He can't even represent Sons of Selah. He just remembers they had a bad dad. You know what I mean? Jacob Selah. They respect the children of Jacob Selah because he's bad. He was bad. You know, but you think that they're gonna caretake over the, you know what I'm saying, the lineage? They're gonna be good caretakers, because they got resources. They look like well-behaved and some shit. That's why you can't believe none of these women. That's why I don't believe not a one woman. I'll trust with some. The thing is, I'll trust you. I'll put trust in your hands. This would be my fault if I lose a certain amount of wealth. You might be able to double it or triple it or quadruple it, or I could lose it. And if I lose it, then that's my fault. If my fault isn't it, so that's already telling me. It's already telling me it's foresight. You get dragged into shit. You could put yourself in any scenario and it'll probably be good. It might be a cleanse. It might be fucking straightener. But it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? We're like, what about people that did this and that and now they're in jail? They got dragged. They were in their feelings. They were in their ego, and they got some bad information and they were scared, and they had a lot of resources or whatever it is that led to a situation where they were supposed to do something with the knowledge that they were getting. Because there's some knowledge like stain you, like it would be a stain, you know what I mean? I wouldn't drink a beer with you because you know this and that and that and everything. So, I guess it's just gonna ever be increasing a weapon like some bullshit that you could expect coming around the corner riding 6 white horses. I don't even think there's a purpose to making videos anymore. I think people know. I think that like it comes online like in the collective conscious and 100 monkey syndrome, and that'd be an unwritten rule or some unspoken truth, right? An unwritten rule. Because that's the only thing that's ever going to afford a perspective. Then you don't have words, but it could just sit with you, something to just sit with you a certain way. And then you'll be able to go off that judgment. And then you're not going to be listening to women telling you to pop the trunk and I wish I could say it like Catchy says something. It was hella funny. But when he did it, it was like, it wasn't like, oh fuck, it's like some shit. He saw the he rhymed it so fucking funny. It was so, never mind. What is that shit? Oh, okay. I was like, I have more chair in my beard.